Hello children, welcome to Sarosh Digital Learning. Today we will be doing the Storyteller Part 2. It is for 9th standard students. We are continuing with the story that the bachelor was telling the children in the carriage which they were traveling. He continued with his story, the bachelor, and he told that Bertha had won 3 medals for goodness. 1 medal for obedience, the 2nd medal for punctuality, and the 3rd medal for good behavior. They were large metal medals and clinked against one another as she walked. No other child in the town where she lived had as many as 3 medals. So everybody knew that she must be an extra good girl. Horribly good, quoted Cyril. Cyril had some doubts in his mind that why the bachelor was calling Bertha horribly good, using negative as well as positive words. Everybody talked about her goodness, and the prince of the country got to hear about it. Even the prince of the country knew about Bertha's goodness. Followed now, so he built a park in his country, which was just outside the town. It was a beautiful park, and no children were allowed in it. So it was a great honor for Bertha to be allowed to go there. Were there any sheep in the park? Asked Cyril. No, said the bachelor. There were no sheep, but there were other small, harmless animals in the park. There were tiny animals also in the park. The storyteller paused to let a full idea of the park's treasures sink into the children's imaginations. Then he resumed. What is the meaning of resumed? Continued. Bertha was rather sorry to find that there were no flowers in the park. There were no flowers in the park. She had promised her aunts with tears in her eyes that she would not pick any of the kind prince flowers, and she had meant to keep the promise. So, of course, it made her feel silly to find that there were no flowers in the park. Why weren't there any flowers? Because the animals had eaten them all, said the bachelor. Promptly, at once, he gave the answer to the curious question of the children. The gardeners had said, the prince, that you couldn't have animals and flowers together. So the prince decided to keep only animals and not flowers. There was a murmur of approved of the excellence of the prince's decision. Everybody was whispering. Murmur here means to whisper that the decision, the idea, or what the prince had taken was very good. So many people would have decided the other way. Otherwise, people would visit the garden only to see flowers and pluck them, which was one of the bad habits. Now we go to page number 89. There were lots of other delightful things in the park. There were ponds with gold and blue and green fish in them, and trees with beautiful parrots that said clever things at a moment's notice. Whatever they came across, at a moment's notice means whatever they saw, they would be whispering, and humming birds that hummed all the popular tunes of the day. Bertha walked up and down and enjoyed herself immensely, because she was given this honor by the prince due to her extraordinarily good behavior. Just because she was a good girl, the prince had given her this honor to use the park, and no other child was allowed into the park. But as she walked, her 3 medals clinked against each other as she began to walk from here and there. Just then, an enormous wolf came prowling into the park to see if he could catch a fat little animal for its supper. As Bertha was walking, there came a wolf prowling into the park just for his supper. The first thing that it saw in the park was Bertha. Her pinafore was so spotlessly white and clean that it could be seen from a great distance. Her pinafore could be seen from far away, and Bertha saw the wolf and saw that it was stealing towards her, and she began to wish that she had never been allowed to come into the park. It struck to her that she never wanted to be a good girl, and why did she be to come into this park, that a wolf was going to attack her now? And she began to run towards the bushes. She managed to reach a shrubbery of myrtle bushes, and she hid herself in one of the thickest of the bushes. The myrtle is having small white flowers which are sweet smelling, and that smell attracts many people. You don't get distracted because of the smell. So she hid in these bushes. As they are small little plants, she was capable of hiding behind the shrubs. The wolf came sniffing among the bushes, its black tongue lolling out of its mouth, and its pale grey eyes glaring with rage. Rage means anger. It was very angry, and it wanted its supper very badly. Bertha was terribly frightened and thought to herself, I should not have been so good. This would never have happened to me. And why did I come to this park? Why was I given so much of honor? And in spite of me being so good, all these thoughts kept worrying Bertha. Bertha was terribly, very much frightened of the wolf prowling and sniffing at her near the bushes. But due to the myrtle smell of the flowers, the bear could not find where Bertha was hidden, and so it crawled back out of the bushes. Bertha was very relieved. She said, Oh my God, you have saved me. Now we go to the next page, page 90. And as she was about to go there, one of her medals stuck against the other medal and made a loud noise. The wolf at once attracted his attention towards Bertha. He dragged her out of the bush and devoured her. Devoured means to eat her up. And only her clothing, bits of clothing, were left scattered here and there, and her shoes, and there were 3 medals for goodness left. The story began badly, but said the smaller of the girls, but it had a beautiful ending. It is the most beautiful story that I ever heard, said Cyril. It is very nice story which I like. The dissentant opinion came from the aunt. It was a different type of opinion, not agreeing with the bachelor for telling the children such a bad story. The ending was tragic. Tragic means where the Bertha dies. That is why the ending of the story is tragic. And so that is why the aunt did not agree with the bachelor. But the bachelor kept moving out of the train of the carriage as soon as it stopped. Unhappy woman, he said to her. He observed to himself as he walked down the platform of Templecombe station. For the next 6 months or so, those children will assail her in public with demands for an improper story. Assail means attack. What is the meaning of assail? They will disagree with the aunt, and they will attack her to tell a good story, because the aunt had blamed him for his story to be imperfect story. Thank you, children. And for your homework, I will send you your matter. You can send me by 6 o'clock. Thank you.